I have two brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may.
Hi, welcome to Left Foot Media. My name is Brendan Malone and you're watching The Daily Question. Today's question of the day: are people who vote differently your sworn enemy? Now, the reason I'm asking that question is because in late October, a guy called Richard White posted the following Facebook update and it went viral. Now, he posted a photo of him with someone who lives in his neighbourhood, and they obviously vote very differently, and this is what he said. This Longhorn fan prefers Ted Cruz. This Aggie fan prefers Beto. We may not agree on political candidates, but we definitely agree that relationships matter more than politics. Our families play games together, break bread together, drink wine together, float rivers together, and love a great party with other friends and neighbours. We treat each other with respect, disagree agreeably, and it goes on from there. Now, I'd love to read you the rest of that status update, but I can't, because when I went to this morning to go and look at it and print it all off, it's actually been changed. So either Richard has turned off his Facebook account or he's made the status private. I'm not sure, but I couldn't actually access, for whatever reason, I couldn't actually access the original post. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's got something to do with the fact that this lady, Stephanie Tate, has had a crack at him over this original post. And I saw her post trending and going viral in response. And here's what Stephanie Tate had to say. Here's the thing about this viral post. It's the epitome of privilege. Disagreeing about politics is not the same as disagreeing about the sports teams you root for. Politics isn't entertainment. It's how we care for real life people amongst us. Well, no, politics is not actually how we care for real life people among us. How we care for them is how we care for them. To relate supporting different political candidates to rooting for different sports teams shows a serious disregard to the tangible effects of your vote. But that's not what they did here. They didn't actually relate it or suggest that it's as trivial as just voting for different sports teams. He pointed out the fact that there are lots of differences between them. These statements of real maturity is not caring at all about how other people vote and politics shouldn't matter in real life relationships have got to stop. If you can truly agree to disagree because at the end of the day it doesn't matter, then you live with an enormous amount of privilege. It's no coincidence that both of the people in this photo are white. They are white and appear to live in a nice middle upper class suburban neighbourhood. Gee, talk about the politics of envy. This post isn't something to strive for. It's not an example of what America needs more of right now. It's not a model for a better way forward. It's an attempt to make passive-aggressive judgments on people. Irony alert, irony alert. Who care too much about politics or who need to stop making this personal. It's an attempt to create a false association between rooting for sports teams and rooting for political causes. Again, that's not what they're doing in their post. As if this is just another form of entertainment. Again, that's not what they've said in their post at all. It's an attempt to enshrine the perspective of the privileged as normal and label the perspectives of those crying out over injustice as uncivil. No, that's not what they've done at all in that original status update. Loving your neighbour well doesn't mean drinking wine together. Well, it might actually mean that. In fact, having a meal and a drink with a neighbour is actually a really good way to form genuine communion and bonds of fraternal and communal connection with people. It doesn't mean drinking wine together in your suburban backyard while you humorously laugh about rooting for the other guy's team and pretending none of it really matters. Loving your neighbour well means understanding that politics is by its very definition the systems by which we care for our neighbours. Again, that's not true. In fact, politics and political systems in particular usually get in the way of caring for your neighbour. The most effective care of human persons that is not done by politicians. It is not done by political systems because political systems are impersonal. They are not people. They cannot care for anything or anyone. They do not have a rational mind to care. They do not have hands and feet to go and love the world. Only you do, only persons do that. And recognising that your vote is a moral issue, not just a sporting match. Again, they haven't said that your vote is not a moral issue. And they haven't said that this is no more than merely like a sporting match, some sort of gladiatorial contest. Instead, the point of that original post is this: that you should not allow political difference to actually destroy genuine and profoundly important human community. You should not segregate yourself away from your family, from your friends, from your community, simply because the two of you or other people around you vote differently to how you vote. You are still human persons. You all still have human dignity, even if you are making mistakes and voting terribly badly. Every person who does that still has human dignity. They are still worthy of your time. They are still worthy of your connection, your genuine and profound community. Both you and they need that. In fact, society desperately needs that community where people are willing to look beyond political difference and not allow political difference to become a dividing point. What she is proposing here is actually the bedrock for how you end up with violent totalitarian regimes where they will not tolerate dissidents. They will not tolerate people who vote differently. They are willing to even kill, punish, persecute, imprison people. And that begins with what? Seeing the person who votes differently as an other. Whether it's right-wing fascism or left-wing fascism, it's the same outworking the same problem. The human person and human dignity is stripped away, and you treat the person as if they are some sort of heretic who must be punished and expelled from the community. Here's the really troubling thing about what she's just said here. There are 4 underlying assumptions which are just flat out false that you first have to believe in order for what Stephanie Tate has said here to be accurate. First of all, you have to believe that the party you don't vote for, so the other party, is actually evil incarnate. Secondly, and closely related to that, you also have to believe that the people who vote for that other party that you didn't vote for are your mortal enemies who just voted for evil incarnate, right? Because you must not commune with these people. If you commune with them, you are communing with the enemies of the people who have voted for evil incarnate. Number 3, you have to believe that political civility and political dialogue is totally impossible. There is no way to connect with people in a meaningful and genuinely charitable and civil way about politics. The only way to do politics is with a form of brute force and rejection. You other the other, and then you ostracize the other for being other in the realm of politics. And number 4, you have to believe that politics is about raw, brute domination of other people, because there's no way, remember, to dialogue with them and to form community with them. So what you have to do is take power, seize that power, and then all of a sudden start treating other people as if they are heretics who must be burned at the stake because they present a serious danger to your community simply because they have a different political persuasion to you. This is what happens when people of either side, whether they are left or right, start turning their politics or the practice of politics, full stop, and their political party into golden calves, into false idols that they worship and bow before. I bow before the false idol of the Democrat Party. I bow before the false idol of the Republican Party, and I will do its bidding. And you are a heretic and an enemy, and we must smite you because you do not bow before our God. This is an absolute disaster for human community, what she is proposing. It's extremely dangerous, and like I said, this is the very bedrock of injustice, what she's proposing. It's the very bedrock of how you end up with brutal totalitarian regimes who dominate people in the worst and most awful excesses of power and control and dominance. The original post is actually the way to go. That willingness to form genuine human community, because you know what happens in human community? We begin to look past politics and we begin to see human persons. And where there might be deficiency in us, where we might be callous, where we might be hard, where we might have actually embraced evil and wrong ideas, guess what? We can actually begin to understand the wrongs and the evils of those ideas because we actually begin to see the human persons, and we have a personal connection with the people who are actually impacted by those issues. That's how you make the world a better place. It is through genuine civil and charitable human fraternity, human community between persons. It's not with this brute force division. It is not by worshipping the state and turning politics, as she's done here, into the mechanism by which apparently the world is supposed to be saved. As per usual, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you like the content I'm creating and you'd like to see more of it, then please support me on PayPal or Patreon. There is a link for both in the video description below. That's right, I can hear my theme music too. I'll see you next week on The Daily Question.